They came to us for help. That's the part that still burns in my skull. The galaxy was unraveling. A war between the Jatari and the Velok had shattered the neutral territories. Entire planets burned out, fleets vanished without distress calls. The so-called Council of Unified Species reached out, tail between their legs, begging Earth to intervene. Not for diplomacy, not for wisdom, for teeth. They had always seen us as young bloods, loud, arrogant, passionate, the kind of species that still named starships after war gods and wrote our military hymns with drums, not harmonics. But this time, their ancient peace treaties and psionic negotiations failed them. So they came crawling. And Earth, we smiled. We sent our best. Not our politicians, not the UN peacekeepers or the Federation's token human ambassadors. We sent the 103rd Black Division. I was there. Infantry, frontline, direct drop. Name's Grant Weller, 37 years old, 15 years in the black. Served on asteroid sieges, vacuum front lines, orbital debris fields. I'd seen what war does, what it turns men into. But I never thought I'd see the day the entire galaxy looked at us not with respect, but with fear. It started on Delta 7, one of the outer colonies of the Velok. We were told they were savage, chaotic, incapable of structure, that they burned their own cities and harvested other species for genetic sludge. Maybe some of that was true. But I saw something else. I saw fathers, mothers, kids with bright red eyes chasing solar kites in the wind tunnels of their canyons. They weren't ready for war. Not really, not against us. The drop command was brutal. No warning, no announcements, just heavy boots in ash fields and heat signatures flashing red. Our suits ran hot and silent, perfectly camouflaged against their own planetary scans. They didn't even know we were there, until they were gone. One of the newer guys, Quinn, puked inside his helmet after the first room sweep. Civilians, not combatants. Orders were orders. A clean sector meant no hostiles left breathing. We called it peace clearing. I still remember the moment I first saw the council rep watching from the carrier bay. Some thin-skinned Avexi delegate, eyes twitching like they were seeing ghosts. You humans, you were supposed to protect them. Why would you? They stuttered. I didn't answer. None of us did. Because the truth was simple. We weren't sent to protect. We were sent to end it. The war? That was their excuse. The real reason? The galaxy had finally realized something about humans. We don't conquer with honor. We survive with brutality. Our kindness is a mask we wear until it's time to kill. And when we decide a threat needs removing, we don't hold back. We don't chain our soldiers with interstellar codes or philosophies of balance. We level everything. That night, Delta 7 was gone, reduced to ash under orbital incinerators. The media feeds were scrubbed clean. The Council swore it was a strategic blow against a weapons depot. But some of the Velok survivors escaped. And they told the story. Not of war machines, not of calculated strikes. They told the story of the black-eyed humans, creatures without empathy, soldiers who laughed as they burned, who left no witnesses but the walls. The word began to spread. We were never the galaxy's protectors. We were the wolves they begged to unleash. And now, they couldn't put us back in the cage. The first time I saw fear in the eyes of another species wasn't on the battlefield. It was on the Trinaxis Accord Station, a diplomatic hub orbiting neutral ground. We were there 2 weeks after Delta 7. Some council suits wanted to debrief the operation. A formality, they said. But everyone in the Black Division knew it wasn't about clarity. It was about containment. They'd seen too much. We'd shown them too much. I walked into that station's sterile meeting chamber, still smelling like scorched carbon and charred metal. My armor wasn't even polished, intentionally. I wanted them to see the black soot still clinging to the plates. The Velok blood that wouldn't scrub out of the creases. The delegates tried to hide it, pretending to be composed. But their pupils dilated. Their breathing changed. The Avexi rep wouldn't even sit near us, kept flinching every time one of us moved. A Drevik ambassador whispered to his aide that we looked more machine than mammal. I didn't care. None of us did. The council leader, some brittle-shelled insectoid with golden plating, leaned forward and said, "This level of destruction was unnecessary." I just looked at him and said, "You asked us to end the war." And we did. That's the part they couldn't swallow. They had made a request, not understanding that humanity doesn't do measured response. We're a species born in violence, shaped by it, and ultimately defined by one philosophy. If we bleed once, we make sure our enemies never bleed again, because they're already dead. That was the end of the meeting. 3 hours later, I got a ping on my secure line. Orders for Operation Sunhole. Target the Velok breeding worlds. I blinked twice. That wasn't war. That was eradication. They were terrified of us, and yet they kept using us. A new squad joined us for Sunhole, fresh out of Lunar Barracks, young, proud, still clinging to ideals. I saw one of them, Reyes, polishing a photo of his wife before the drop. Poor bastard still thought this was about saving lives. When we touched down on Corvex, the air was thick with ammonia, heat, and the cries of newborns. Their dens were deep underground, designed to be unbreakable, but our scanners were tuned to heartbeat patterns. We had scorch burrowers, tiny drones that went through air vents and released liquid thermite. We didn't fire a single bullet. We let the fire talk. I remember standing there, 30 feet above the burrows, feeling the heat rise up through the cracks. No screams made it to the surface, but the smoke did. Thick, greasy, full of protein and death. Reyes vomited. He took off his helmet and dropped to his knees. He kept muttering, "This isn't war. This isn't right." I didn't say a word. I just looked up at the stars. We were no longer part of Earth's dreams of unity. We were the edge of the knife, and someone had to hold it steady. The Council tried to distance themselves. Publicly, they issued statements of grave concern over human excesses. Behind closed doors, their fleets gave us clearance codes and planetary access. They couldn't stop the war, but they could give us the targets and pretend their hands were clean. Meanwhile, news spread. Galactic networks called us Earth's butchers. Propaganda vids showed shadowy humans stalking innocent cities. And just like that, the fear became doctrine. Species started evacuating human sectors. Trade routes were rerouted. Cultural exchanges shut down. The term protector was stripped from our titles. They finally understood. We weren't guardians. We were the last thing you saw when mercy ran out. And the more they feared us, the more they used us. Every whisper of rebellion, every loose fleet, every species that pushed the line. They called on us, and we answered. Without mercy, without hesitation, without apology. Because humans never needed the galaxy's approval. We only needed a reason. And now we had it. I didn't expect Earth to become a target. We were the hammer the galaxy used, sure, the ones they called when things got messy. But I figured our home, our soil, would stay untouched. Revered even. A symbol of fear, yeah, but also untouchable. Sacred. I was wrong. 3 months after Corvex, we returned to Earth for refit and evaluation. Standard rotation, psychological debrief, armor recalibration, maybe a week or 2 of leave in between. That was the idea. But the moment we hit Lunar's orbital checkpoint, something felt off. They held us there. Docking clearance delayed. Questions asked. Security checks repeated, twice, then 3 times. No eye contact from the tech crews. Communications encrypted, silenced, then shut down entirely. Reyes leaned over and whispered, "They're watching us." He wasn't wrong. Turns out, while we were burning breeding pits in Velok space, Earth had been receiving diplomatic ultimatums from the Council. Quiet threats. Not about what we'd done, but about what we might do next. They didn't say it aloud, but the fear was there. What if humans turned their attention inward? What if the monsters they'd built for off-world war decided to make Earth pay for its cowardice? So they tried to put a leash on us. High Command summoned the entire 103rd Black Division to the Arcadia Dome in Antarctica. Said it was a security realignment. New protocols, unity reintegration. Reyes actually smiled. Maybe we're finally going home. But when we got there, it wasn't a briefing. It was a containment field. Magnetic locks on the doors. Smart glass that fogged over as soon as we tried to see out. Armed drones watching us from every corner, programmed with facial kill recognition tied to our DNA. They didn't bring a commander to explain. They brought a psychologist. Her voice was soft. Too soft, like she thought we'd explode if she made the wrong sound. "You're heroes," she said, "but there are concerns. About your conditioning. About long-term exposure to non-Earth engagements." Translation. They thought we were broken, that we'd gone too far, that we might turn on them. I stood up, told her to shut her mouth and send in whoever gave the order. She blinked, surprised. "You're not prisoners. You're guests." Reyes laughed. That bitter, choking kind of laugh that doesn't come from humor but from the realization of betrayal. I pressed my palm to the door scanner. It didn't even blink. Full lockdown. Guests, my ass! That night, one of the drones tried to sedate our barracks. Pumped sleeping agents into the air vents. But we were soldiers. We'd slept in sulfur pits and fought through plague fields. Most of us hadn't taken our suits off yet. Reyes got hit hard, started convulsing, nose bleeding black. There wasn't a single hallway in that dome we hadn't already mapped. Within 12 minutes we had full control of the surveillance room. I pulled up the security feeds. Saw the truth. They'd issued full decommission orders. The 103rd Black Division was labeled unstable. A threat. A liability. They weren't trying to ground us. They were trying to erase us. And that's when everything snapped. Some of the guys wanted to burn the dome to ash, walk out with heads held high, and bodies piled behind us. But I said no. Not yet. Because I needed them to understand something before we left. You don't create monsters, train them in fire, drown them in blood, send them across stars to wipe out civilizations, and then act surprised when they turn around and look at you like you're next. We walked out of Arcadia Dome in silence. No one stopped us. They didn't dare. We left the psychologist alive, but her eyes were never the same after that. Later, Reyes asked me, "Are we still soldiers?" I looked up at the Earth sky, polluted, beautiful, full of stars that now feared us. "No," I said. "We're something else now." Because in that moment I knew. The galaxy didn't make a mistake fearing us. They made a mistake thinking they could ever control us. The orders came in without a signature, encrypted, untraceable, routed through a dozen dead satellites. But we knew where it came from. Not Earth, not the Council. Someone else. It was a kill contract. Simple message. Asset, Admiral Rilvek. Location, Solaris Prime. Clearance, full discretion. Terms, final period. I read it 3 times. The name made my jaw lock. Rilvek wasn't a warlord, wasn't a field commander or a rogue AI threatening to torch a star system. He was a diplomat, a Velok noble technically, but more politician than predator. One of the few left who'd tried to negotiate after Delta 7. This wasn't war anymore. This was cleanup. And the worst part? The pay line had Earth credentials, meaning someone back home had authorized it, or at least allowed it. Reyes looked at me and said, "You realize what this means, right? They're outsourcing the dirty work now." Yeah. They were done pretending we were soldiers. Now we were shadows, tools, ghosts, assassins. And they still didn't get it. Every time they used us, they were digging their own graves. We didn't hesitate. We never did. The 103rd loaded up. Sleek gunmetal stealth cutters, heat-vanished tech, sub-quantum insertion routes. No records, no pings. Solaris Prime wouldn't even see us coming. It was supposed to be a clean hit. Land, infiltrate, terminate, extract. But nothing about Solaris Prime was clean. The Velok knew we were coming. Somehow they knew. The airspace was empty, like they were inviting us. The cities were silent. Streets cleared. Not a single drone in sight. That's when it hit me. They weren't running. They were watching. We breached the capital citadel like ghosts, silent, perfect, lethal. Found Rilvek in a towering chamber made of obsidian glass, just standing there with his hands behind his back, looking out over the city. He didn't even flinch when we stepped out of cloak. Didn't run, didn't speak. Why? I asked. I don't know why I asked. Maybe I needed to hear it from someone else. Maybe I needed to believe there was still something left of the truth. He didn't turn. Because you're the lesson, he said. The Council created peace through fear, but fear only works until the monster they feed turns toward them. You were never peacekeepers. You were punishment. And now the sentence is turning on the judge. He turned around then, slow, calm, and I saw it in his eyes. No hatred, no rage. Acceptance, like he'd already seen how this ended. I should have shot him. I should have ended it right there. Instead, I hesitated. And that's when it all went to hell. Explosions ripped through the citadel. Not from us, not from them. From orbit, Earth's ships, unmarked but unmistakable design. The way they dropped payloads without warning. No evac, no extraction window. They weren't targeting Rilvek, they were targeting us. Double-crossed, again. They wanted to wipe the board. No loose ends. Not the diplomat, not the division. But they'd forgotten one thing. We wrote the book on surviving impossible odds. They trained us to crawl out of fire, and now they were going to burn for thinking we'd die quietly. We fought our way out of that city like demons. Reyes caught a plasma burst to the side, burned through half his ribs. But he kept moving. I carried him onto the evac skiff myself. We didn't just survive. We took the data cores, the logs, the comm records, the proof. Proof that Earth was erasing us. Proof the Council knew. Proof that everything we had done was never about peace. It was about fear management. And now we were the fear. Uncontrolled, uncontained, unforgiving. We didn't go back to Earth. We didn't return to any base. We went dark. From that day on, the 103rd wasn't just a division. We were a warning. A whisper in the void. A myth told to children of alien worlds, don't wake the humans. Don't summon them. And for the love of your gods, never betray them. Because if you do, they'll come back. And they won't come to protect you. They'll come to finish what they started. The galaxy had already started spinning its own stories. By the time we vanished from Solaris Prime, rumors spread like wildfire across the channels. Banned frequencies, smuggler comms, encrypted pirate loops. They said the 103rd didn't just survive. They said we went rogue. They said Earth tried to kill its own soldiers and failed. And that's when we realized we weren't ghosts anymore. We were legends. The kind that made admirals piss themselves and counselors whisper our names behind sealed doors. But legends need teeth, so we sharpened ours. Our base was an old derelict mining colony on the far edge of the Carthus dust belt. Off-grid. Long forgotten. Systems fried. Atmosphere compromised. We fixed it. Stripped council tech. Rebuilt the reactors. Sealed the hulls with scavenged polymer. The 103rd had always worked with scraps. Now we were building something new, not a base. A war room. We mapped every system where Earth or the Council had done to others what they tried to do to us. Massacres labeled as preemptive diplomacy. Silent assassinations written off as internal collapses. Whole species erased from history. We weren't just going to survive anymore. We were going to expose it all. And to start, we needed a message. Loud, undeniable, unforgettable. Not just for the galaxy. For Earth. The target? Station Helion 9, a research facility funded by EarthGov, operated by Council technocrats. Top secret, black tier. On the surface, medical research. Underneath, bioweapon trials. Live testing on prisoners from lesser-known species, those without power or political weight. We got the intel from a defector, a tech specialist named Morgan. Quiet, pale, hadn't slept in weeks. He stumbled onto the experiments and ran. When we found him, he was half mad. They're building a virus that only targets non-human DNA, he told us. One that kills slow, painfully. And they're going to release it into fringe systems to stabilize resistance. Reyes clenched his jaw so tight I thought he'd break it. They want to make humans the only dominant species in Council space. I didn't respond. I didn't have to. The mission was already forming in my head. We hit Helion 9 like thunder. No stealth, no whisper. We wanted them to know who it was. We breached their orbital perimeter using hijacked transponder codes. The second we broke atmosphere, we jammed every outbound signal. No one was calling for help. It was over in 27 minutes. Their guards were good, trained, but they weren't us. Their defenses were built for pirates and saboteurs, not a full-blown Black Division assault team. We secured the data cores, liberated every prisoner, and dragged the lead scientist, Dr. Halstrow, into the central chamber. He looked at me and said, "You don't understand the bigger picture." I shot him in the kneecap. "You don't get to say that anymore," I said. We made him confess, on record, video, audio, gene tag verified. He named EarthGov officials, Council contractors. He gave us everything. And then we broadcasted it. Not just to Council systems, to everyone. The holofeeds lit up across the galaxy. Millions watched as Dr. Halstrow admitted to experimenting on living subjects, as he described virus trials, failure deaths, and success rates like he was talking about lab rats. They saw the cages, the scars, the broken, the truth. And beneath the video feed, one sentence burned across the screen in red. "You made us monsters. Now we're yours to deal with." 103rd Black Division. Within hours, the galaxy changed. Riot zones erupted in Council space. Civilian uprisings in Earth sectors. Species that once feared us, now feared what Earth had turned into. The Council scrambled. EarthGov denied everything. But the seed was planted. They were no longer the gods of this galaxy. Because now the galaxy had seen the wolves. And the wolves had teeth. We expected retaliation. We just didn't expect it to come from home. EarthGov didn't send a fleet, didn't issue a public declaration or a bounty. No, they sent a name. Call sign Mercer, X-103rd, Black Division, our old brother-in-arms. We thought he was dead. Last seen during the orbital decimation over Keris 11, presumed vaporized. But Mercer had always been good at playing dead. Turns out he wasn't just alive. He was working for them. Reyes saw the encrypted bounty first, hidden in the underlayer of the comnet, buried in an AI ghost line. 5 names. Mine was at the top. Below it, Reyes, Locke, Heller, Nix, all 103rd, all marked priority threat, terminate on sight. And at the bottom of the data stream, in red, Mercer assigned. Condition, no extraction required. The bastard didn't just agree to kill us. He didn't expect to come back. That night, none of us slept. Reyes was pacing like a mad dog. "Why would he turn?" he asked. He was one of us. I didn't have an answer. Mercer wasn't just a soldier. He was family. We'd bled together, watched friends burn together, buried too many good men in off-world soil. And now he was coming to put us down, like diseased animals, It made sense in a sick way. If you want to kill the wolves, send the one who used to run with the pack. We locked down the base, switched all protocols to deep black. No lights, no external comms, not even internal motion sensors. Mercer knew how we thought, so we had to think darker. The first attack came 2 days later. A single shot through the hull, clean, silent, perfect aim. Nyx dropped dead mid-step. No warning, just a hole through her visor and half her brain left steaming against the corridor wall. We didn't even hear the impact. He'd fired from orbit, through 8 layers of asteroid belt, using tech we didn't even know existed. He was watching us, but he didn't come in guns blazing. That wasn't Mercer. He wanted to hunt, make us feel it, make us break. He knew how to get under our skin. The next night, Reyes found a small data chip next to his bedroll. No sign of entry, no prints, just a simple message. Still think you're the good guys? Below it, footage, United States, Delta 7, killing without hesitation, civilians, crying children, smoke, blood, and Reyes dragging a body behind him. He stared at the chip for a full minute before smashing it against the wall, screaming until his throat tore. We'd all buried that day. Mercer hadn't. But this was his mistake. He thought guilt would break us. He forgot who we were. We'd walked through hell. We didn't bend. We bit back. I initiated Protocol 9, a trap only Mercer and I knew about. It was a dummy extraction signal we'd once used to pull out wounded teams under orbital fire. He'd recognize it, think it was a real evac, think we were trying to run. He took the bait. At 0300 we caught him. Not in the blast radius. We knew that'd never work. No, we caught his signal ghost. It wasn't him physically, but it was his AI companion, the same one he used back in Keris 11. We hijacked it mid-boot and backtraced his location. He wasn't in orbit. He was already inside the base. That son of a bitch had been here the entire time, sleeping in our shadows, breathing our recycled air, killing us from within. And now, we knew. This wasn't about politics anymore. Not council, not Earth, not war. This was personal. And Mercer was going to learn the hard way. You don't betray the pack and expect to walk out breathing. The air inside the base turned heavy. Not from atmosphere loss, from betrayal. He was inside, walking our corridors, breathing our oxygen, killing us one by one. Mercer. We locked the base down again. But this time it wasn't about security. It was about trapping the rat in the cage. Hella was already gone, gutted in the comms shaft, found slumped over a blood-slick panel. No signs of struggle, no forced entry, just a precise blade stroke through the ribs, heart punctured clean. Only 4 of us left now. Me, Reyes, Locke, and Mercer. The last fragments of the 103rd. Locke was the tech head. He rigged internal cams to pulse infrared, bouncing off movement like sonar. We weren't looking for his face anymore. We were tracking a ghost. I found him. Locke whispered through grit teeth, staring at the flickering screen. Level 3, reactor wing, moving slow. I looked at Reyes. His face was pale but steady. We end this, I said, and we moved. Guns loaded, knives strapped, armor sealed. We took the long corridors in silence, descending through the flickering guts of our hideout. Once a haven, now a tomb. Every creak felt like a breath. Every echo like Mercer's voice in the walls. He wanted us paranoid, wanted us chasing ghosts. Too bad for him, we wrote the damn playbook. We reached level 3. The air was colder there. Artificial, recycled too long. Smelled like copper and power grease. The reactor's pulse throbbed through the walls like a heartbeat. Then we saw him. He stepped out from behind the coolant tanks like he was expecting a reunion. Same stance, same calm eyes. Armor matte black, unmarked. Council issue stealth weave. No flag, no nation, just death. He looked at us, almost like he was bored. You're late. Mercer said. "You're a traitor." Reyes snarled. Mercer smiled. "Number, I'm a realist. I saw where this was going before the rest of you did. You think this galaxy cares about justice? About the truth?" He shook his head. "No one wants freedom. They want control. Earth gets it. The Council gets it. You three, you're just clinging to the illusion of war having meaning." I raised my rifle. "You killed Nyx, Hela, and you call that realism?" "I call it evolution." He didn't flinch, didn't draw his weapon. He didn't need to, because the base lights went black. EMP pulse. Locke muttered. He had a back door. He shut the grid. We were blind. Only audio, and Mercer moved like a phantom. Locke went first. 1 second he was behind me. The next, screaming. A wet, sharp sound. Then nothing. Reyes spun, blind firing down the hallway. "Coward!" he yelled. "Come out and fight!" A voice behind him whispered, "I am." Reyes turned too slow. I saw the blade flash, saw him drop, clutching at his throat, gurgling. And then it was just me. Me and Mercer. Like it was always meant to be. I didn't run, didn't hide. I stepped into the dark with the blade from my thigh sheath, breathing slow, every footstep echoing like thunder. "Why them?" I asked. No emotion, just cold calculation. "They wouldn't stop," he replied from somewhere in the dark. "They still believed we could be something else. You and I, we know better." "Know what?" "That monsters don't get redemption. They only get the kill." That's when he lunged. I felt the slice across my chest, armor cracking. Pain shot through my ribs, but I held the knife tight and countered, slashed across his helmet, sparks flying. We crashed into the reactor wall, blades grinding. It wasn't graceful. It was animal. No tactics, no protocols, just two wolves tearing each other apart in the dark. He almost had me. Blade to my neck, pressure growing. Then I reached down, grabbed the heat pipe beside me, and rammed it into his side. Searing steam burst out. He screamed. First time I'd ever heard it. Real, human agony. He fell back. Helmet split. Half his face burned, seared raw. "You still believe in the mission?" I growled, standing over him. Mercer spat blood. "I believe in what we became. That was always the point." I looked down at him. This wasn't mercy. It was a bullet to end a chapter. I pulled the trigger. Twice. And just like that. Mercer was gone. But he left scars that wouldn't fade. Not on my body, on my soul, because he wasn't wrong. We were monsters. We'd just killed the only one honest enough to admit it. The base was quiet now. Too quiet. The kind of silence that settles after everything living has either died or decided to leave. Mercer's body still lay in the reactor corridor. I didn't move it. Couldn't. There's something sacred about betrayal when it's personal. It deserves to be left as a warning, not buried like honor. I limped back up to the command center. Armor cracked, ribs aching, blood seeping into the suit's lining. Every step echoed like a final breath. Reyes was gone. Locke, gone. Nyx, Hela, all gone. The 103rd was over. I was all that was left. The last soldier in a division that had turned into myth and then into curse. But there was still one thing left to do. I activated the data uplink, tapped into every secure feed, every pirate channel, every deep net loop still listening. The networks lit up, not just in human space, but Drevik systems, Avexi colonies, Velok insurgency outposts, everyone. They were all waiting. I sat down, helmet off, eyes black-ringed from no sleep, no peace, no forgiveness. "This is Captain Grant Weller," I said, "former unit commander of the 103rd Black Division." I paused. Let the weight settle. You watched us tear across your galaxy. You saw us burn cities, bury your dead. You called us monsters. You were right. I leaned in. But we were your monsters, built by your fear, your war, your cowardice. I pulled up the footage from Hellion 9 again. Dr. Halstro's confession, the caged victims, the virus logs, the names of EarthGov officials that signed off on genocide in elegant digital strokes. You think Earth is still the cradle of humanity? I growled. They turned it into a factory for dominance. They didn't send peacekeepers. They sent us. I tapped another button. Mercer's mission orders flashed across the screen. EarthGov's kill contract. Authorized execution of their own unit. No trial, no appeal. This is how they deal with loyalty. With truth, I paused again. And now I ask you, what are you going to do? Let them squirm. Let them taste the weight of that silence. Because this wasn't about one division anymore. This was about the galaxy choosing its devil. The Council had always ruled through silence and shame. Earth wanted to rule through purity and genetic superiority. And us? We weren't rulers. We were retribution. I ended the transmission with one final sentence. We're not here to be heroes. We're here to make damn sure no one forgets what happens when you think you can play God with blood. Then I uploaded everything. The proof, the files, the mission logs, from Delta 7 to Solaris Prime. Every kill, every betrayal, every lie scrubbed clean by propaganda. I didn't wait to see the response, because I knew what was coming. There would be panic, uprisings, truth commissions, war tribunals, and through it all, fear. Not fear of Earth, not fear of the Council, fear of what they created. A single soldier, still breathing, the last of the 103rd. I walked out of the base with the sun of the dust belt bleeding red through the horizon. No destination, no command, just purpose. Because monsters like me, we don't get redemption. But we make damn sure no one else gets to pretend they're clean. Not anymore.